If you've been on my YouTube channel before, you will know that I have long had a pattern of playing through one of the Zelda games and then crafting a video essay that goes with that game, talking about its origins, its development, its gameplay, story, all of those things that overall go into a Zelda game, and kind of tying it all together under the prospect, the overall theme that the Zelda franchise basically describes the development of a hero, the prototypical hero's journey. I have done that from the beginning, OG Legend of Zelda, all the way through to Skyward Sword. I feel that at this point, I have done just about everything that I wanted to do with that process. I'm going to be leaving the video essays up because I'm very proud of those essays. I think they're really fun to make, and I hope that in some measure they are inspirational. The gameplay I mostly had on there in order to, one, get footage for the videos that I would subsequently make, and if I'm going to be honest, provide a built-in buffer between video essays, because those video essays, they take a lot of time. This isn't my full-time job. I never became YouTube famous, so I haven't been able to devote all of my life to it. And so having the games kind of built in a general deadline for when these video essays would be able to come out. I also realize that those gameplay videos leave a lot to be desired, and that's on a number of levels. Primarily in terms of audio. I actually have the same video capture card that I've been using since day one, and it still works perfectly. No reason to get it, but my microphone and my overall format with how I record these games has changed and improved over the last, I think I've been doing this for 9 years now. Additionally, with that audio is the commentaries that I had attached to all of it. There is, I'd say, a little bit of drop in quality when it comes to the type of gameplay that I can provide as someone who has played the Zelda series for forever. If I was an expert gamer, I could probably try to pull something off like a no-hit run in Adventure of Link. I think that's impossible, but regardless, I'm giving you a crazy example, or some kind of glitch run in one of the other games. Something to show off my technical skills, and that's usually a fun thing to watch. And obviously, I have neither the freshness of a first playthrough for most of these games, and similarly, I don't have those kinds of expert skills in awesome gaming ability. And so, what is it that I can do in order to make this kind of gameplay footage for me to record and keep for general observation, make it unique, and also make it a little bit more entertaining to watch and listen to? Additionally, like I said, with my mic quality, which has gotten better over the years, my early gameplay sounds horrendous, and a good chunk of my gameplay footage involves, well, first and foremost, it involves my ex-wife. And as great at times as we had together, that part of my life has long since departed, and I have, for a long time, wanted to replace that footage with something that is cleaner and is even more me. Also, it would make me feel better when I go back and look at the footage again, because I'm not listening to her, whom, as much as I have let go, still feel at the very least nostalgic. So, what I decided to do is basically put on 2 different hats that I have worn for about the same amount of time. One being a Zelda personality, I guess, online, and the other being a dungeon master. I am not super skilled in world building. I'm not super skilled in story creation. In fact, one of the benefits of being a dungeon master is I don't need to make a full and complete story. I can just give my players a scenario and then they just run with it. But taking that ability for world building and for character portrayal and voices, and combining that with my lifelong love of The Legend of Zelda and my 9 years of doing this kind of commentary online, both with YouTube and here on Twitch, I thought it would be cool to try and blend them together to work on The Legend of Zelda stories. I've said this so many times. I love stories. I love watching Zelda stories in particular, how they develop and grow and create something so immersive from just a tonal aspect. Just so fun and engaging and inspiring. But because it is a video game, it does by necessity leave out a lot of the story that you could get with this game, with any of the games. And so what I want to do is I want to play through every game in the series, and this time, as we go, I want to try and flesh out the story that is being told. I do not want to necessarily change anything that's happening in the game, only insofar as it would create what I think would be a better explanation for items, or a better explanation for a relationship that we see. So, prime example, Link becoming a sworn brother to the Gorons. That seems to happen very, very quid pro quo in Ocarina of Time. We'll be playing Ocarina of Time, so I figured this is a good place to put that. It's great for Link to be recognized for his bravery, but to get that level of rapport with Darunia just because he played a cool song and blew up a bunch of lizards, as important as that was, seems a little strange to be like, yes, we are going to share the closest bond that we Gorons will give to anybody outside our tribe. So how would that look in a story context? Now, bear in mind, I am no professional storyteller. I am no writer. I'm not a film person. I have no connection, as much as I would like to be, with the Zelda movie that is coming out. This is me trying to create the story that is already built into the Zelda games already. And one of the reasons why I'm doing it here is because I would be very interested in all of your perspective as we move forward. I don't know how the posting of these videos are going to go. For example, I don't know if I'm just going to get rid of my old Ocarina of Time footage before putting this up, or if I'm going to get rid of all of it, all of the gameplay videos before putting this up. For some reason, I'm leaning towards that second one. I don't know why. I also don't know exactly what kind of the release pattern is going to be. I would like to have these come out at some kind of fairly soon. So these might even be full-on VOD recordings that I put up on my channel. We will find out as I decide what would be the best option. But I do that specifically because I would be very interested in what you and anybody who may be watching on YouTube may put in the comments in regards to how we would expand and flesh out the stories here in our adventures. I am probably going to be doing a lot more talking of the plot than I am necessarily voicing any of the characters. If I had my choice, and if I had the budget, the resources, the connections, I would absolutely love to create a kind of an edited production of the stuff that we're coming up with. However, I don't have those things, and so I don't think that will ever happen unless somehow this becomes, you know, big. So, I should do this. In fact, hang on. I'm going to close because if we're going to be doing this... Take two! We're taking two! I believe in us. I had this here for a reason. That way we don't get the black thingies. That's better. See, now you have the full-on screen. It looks pretty. It looks good. And it's bigger for you. You get to see more of The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. Isn't that great? I hope you're grateful. I'm grateful because I'm glad that you get to see more. Now, because as soon as we hit the start button, essentially, as soon as we get our name in, there is going to be a lot of questions that we need to answer before we even get started. And that is going to be two things. Number one is the introduction. When we open up with The Legend of Zelda, we get intro stuff. And that introduction is going to need to be... Excuse you. Thank you. I waited too long, obviously. Yeah, I want to... There we go. Okay. I'm sorry. Go Link. So what is that going to look like? And then the second thing that we need to decide is, well, Link himself. So, how do we want to start our story here? We start with the Deku Tree, explaining everything that is going on. This is who he is. Here's the Kokiri. There's one who doesn't. And then we jump into his nightmare. Starting with the Deku Tree, introducing us to the world still makes sense to me. I think what we need to add, however, is the predicament, or at least the initial predicament, that we are being introduced to. And so, pardon me while I adjust something. I'm not centered. This is important to me. I want to be centered. Okay, so are we going by what the game knows or what the player knows? Interesting. I want the story to evolve naturally. So at the moment, we are looking at, I guess, what the game knows. Because the two major things that at least we need to know from our perspective is that something evil is afoot in the Kokiri Forest. And only the Kokiri Forest. We don't need to worry about everything that is happening outside of the forest. Because Link is isolated, as it were. And so we would start with the Deku Tree, explaining what is going on, maybe describing like a dark pall of shadow that is starting to cover the world. Think of the opening lines from the Fellowship of the Ring. The world is changed. I feel it in the water. You know, that whole kind of thing. Start with something on similar lines. A darkness is fallen over the land of Hyrule, long as the Kokiri Forest, yada yada yada, provided a barrier, but now great evil is coming forth. And initially, as we get started, we would have two juxtaposing images. We would have the darkness that is coming across the world. We would have images of Link being subjected to his nightmares. And then, of course, we would see the darkness that is happening in the nightmare. But at the same time, we would see this dark shadow coming across the forest. And we see it kind of coalescing into a man whom we never see fully. And probably don't get any full indication of exactly who it is. But the way that it is playing out between the man standing before the Deku Tree, making some kind of, I don't know, maybe words that we don't fully understand, and then juxtapose that with the dream that Link is having, raising his hand towards Link, where Link is frightened, and you have the same kind of image happening as this man is raising his hand towards the Deku Tree. We would definitely not want to have Ganondorf's face be visible in either scene, because we would want his reveal to be much more of a surprise later on. Particularly when we get to Ganondorf on the horse and raising his hand towards Link in real life. I could see maybe Link initially waking up from that nightmare, and then kind of looking around in his room, seeing that nothing is there, nothing is going on. He still feels uncomfortable, maybe shivering, before falling back asleep. And then we switch over again to the Deku Tree as he calls out, Navi, Navi, where art thou? Come hither. I think it should be important that the Deku Tree at this point he sounds ill. Before, during his initial narration, he was just giving the grave old man pronouncing woes upon the world type of deal. But now, he has been inflicted. He is in pain and is growing weaker. And so the voice would need to reflect that. Navi would respond You called for me, Great Deku Tree. I can imagine that Navi's personality. This is something that never got fleshed out in the game. And probably the major thing that we need to understand from our two main characters. Navi and Link are our two main characters in this game. They should have plenty of time to interact with each other throughout the story. And so, what personality does Navi have? And what personality does Link have? Let's start with Navi. Navi is earnest. She is certainly very intent at doing her job. She could. She could. Maybe earnest at first, and then the concern would grow as she realizes that something is wrong. There is definitely a conversational exchange that the two are having instead of just the Deku Tree pronouncing these words to Navi. There would be some kind of exchange. Navi is alert. Navi is earnest, like I said. She's very intuitive. She seems to be very observant of the world because she is the one who flies over to anything of interest around Link at any given time. So it makes sense that she would. Now, is she cheerful? Is she cheerful? Is she serious? She is... Oh, no, she's definitely helpful to Link. I talk about this in my tribute video for Ocarina of Time. Navi introduced not just Link, but every single player to a three-dimensional world. And so you needed those explanations, like, desperately. So we will get to their actual dynamic, but I certainly imagine that Navi and Link end up, at the very least, as a very, very good pair. In fact, probably fairly quickly, I want to say. So with that being the case, Navi is definitely a guiding influence for Link. She is almost certainly more objective-driven than Link is. Because she is the one always reminding Link, this is the way we need to go. What about this way? Giving him instructions on, this is a way we can take care of this problem or this boss. Okay. So I think we have a good handle on Navi. We'll get to Link when we, well, get to Link. Dost thou sense it? The climate of evil descending upon this realm. Does Navi sense it? It's an interesting question. Does Navi sense it? Maybe a little? Like we said, she is very observant, so it would make sense that she would be able to sense it. And so that would probably be her answer to that question. malevolent forces even now. I feel like this obviously the conversation as a whole needs to be extended a little bit. But like even the words that the Deku Tree is saying could probably be fleshed out a little bit as well. The climate of evil, Maleficent. Maleficent is not in this game. This is not Kingdom Hearts. Even now are mustering to attack our land of Hyrule. Maybe change the name Our Land of Hyrule, because at the moment we're trying to focus the entirety of our story to the forest. So if we keep things situated on the forest, malevolent forces, these forces of darkness, are maybe not mustering to attack our land of Hyrule, but are having an influence upon the forest. The forest is darkening as evil forces creep into it. And then it may extend beyond our forest to the land of Hyrule. Maybe you could say something to that effect. And then Navi would probably say something like, Hyrule? Yes. For so long, the Kokiri... So it's like, Hyrule? Wait, Hyrule? What's Hyrule? We're not worrying about Hyrule. We're talking about the Kokiri Forest, where we are. The source of life. It's interesting that he says that the Kokiri Forest is the source of life. Which, by itself, is, like, very good reason to protect this place. Stood as a barrier deterring outsiders, maintaining the order of the world. But before this tremendous evil power, even my powers are nothing. Oh no! This is... Obviously, I need a better Navi voice. Oh no! Maybe I'm thinking stereotypically, but Navi I've always admired, thought of as being female. It's just how I think of her. Is this wicked force attacking only the forest or the world at large? The wicked force is certainly attacking the world at large, but my mindset in this is kind of in terms of usually what I think of in terms of D&D, which is you don't start the heroes out with a world-threatening calamity. You want to bring the challenge or the darkness closer to home. It's not the world that is in peril. It is this town that is in peril, or this home, or just your life. Something that is a lot more relatable to an individual, and particularly someone who does not have any experience venturing out into the unknown. Then, as that calamity builds up, suddenly you are informed of, no, it's not just this village, it's the wider countryside or the kingdom. And then as you get even further, it's, oh no, this is the world we're talking about. So, talking about how this tremendous evil could potentially spread out to the world, you can say that, but I would not want to go any further than that. Keep this more as our home is in danger, we need someone to solve this. And so this initial conversation then becomes well, what can we do? How do we solve this problem? Should I go get X? Should I go get Y? Is there a particular item that you need? And then the response would be yes, there is someone who can help. It seems the time has come for the boy without a fairy to begin his journey. The boy without a fairy? Oh, him! A Kokiri Without a Fairy is a oddity, to say the least. And so I read the manga once a while ago. I don't remember very much from it. In fact, I don't think I remember anything from it. I am trying to be very specific to the game itself, because I know that the mangas do take a fair amount of liberty with various backstories and whatnot, and it works great for the stories that they create. But I want to be certain that the story that we're creating follows the game. I'm thinking right now, particularly in terms of Twilight Princess, because they create a whole backstory between Zelda and Midna in the manga that is really, really great for the manga, but it doesn't really fit the story as we are given. And so when we get to Twilight Princess, that's more or less my structure there. You could create it, but since it's not specifically put in the game, I don't want to branch too far out from the game, if you understand me. Yeah, nothing against any of the manga. I've read most of them, and they're really, really good. Anything that we create here is never anything to say that they did it poorly. We will save our judgment on the Zelda movie when it comes out. So, with the boy without a fairy being an obvious oddity in the forest, I find it very unlikely that Navi wouldn't already know who Link is, at least by reputation. And so, him is probably a bit of a question there. He says, yes. Yes, the youth whose destiny it is to lead Hyrule to the path. They say, I don't think we would get, again, we're trying to keep things close to home. So if we try and keep things close to home, we would not talk about leading Hyrule to the path of justice and truth. Again, that's a grand, oh my gosh, you're going to save the world. We don't want to go that far. Are we trying to make cohesive story from all source material? No, we are just going game for game. Because otherwise we're going to be going all over the place. And I need to try and we need to try and make this at least somewhat digestible for me, if for anybody else. I may be very knowledgeable about Zelda, but otherwise, if we get into trying to craft everything for every single situation, I don't need this game on. I need like a conspiracy board. Make a sticker out of that image. So in this case, it's, oh, him? Yes, he is who I need. Something probably along the lines of he has it'd be like that. It would. It very much would. I need to save that picture. Anywho. The ability, words. I lost words. Yes, he has the gifts, the ability that we need. Perhaps there would then still be kind of a question from Navi of, but why him? No fairy has come to him. Which is why I must ask you, Navi. Me? Yes, Navi, go. Find our young friend and guide him to me. So Yes. Yes, I like that. Navi's curious why, because he's so strange. Like, well, that's why I have you, Navi. I need you to go get him for me. Do we want to say I don't have much time left? Maybe not initially. Because I feel like if Navi is as earnest and as driven as we feel she is, the only reason the Deku Tree would say something like that is if Navi needed further persuasion. Which she might. But if she already knows that he is ill and this boy is and if this boy is supposed to help, she doesn't exactly have too much cause to question the Deku Tree beyond just her general curiosity. Maybe not that he does not have much time left, but just that time is of the essence. I don't want to necessarily bring up the prospect of the Deku Tree dying just yet. Because we want the Deku Tree's death to be a little bit more of a surprise. Phrased like this, it means that he's already doomed to death, and we don't want that to be the case. But the time is of the essence, I think, would be enough to get her to go. So, I don't think we need this line. The last line of "we don't have much time" probably would be enough to get her moving. So there would be a bit of a probably voicing out loud of, okay, we gotta find this person. Let's see, where is everybody? The hello and hey is probably coming from the other fairies. And she's probably going around asking questions like, where is this boy? She finally gets enough direction. I don't think we necessarily need that, though it is cute. And she's looking around and finds that here he is. Hello, Link, wake up! The great Deku Tree wants to talk to you. Link! Link, get up! You could see, I can see her, like, maybe, like, bouncing on top of him, maybe, like, grabbing his sleeve, or maybe even his cheek to, like, get up! It'd be cute. We remove Hyrule's destiny, but we definitely kind of want that. I can't believe the Deku Tree wants to talk to this lazy boy. Do we want to have Link quietly wake up like that? Or do we want to have it a little bit more comedic where he's still having those bad dreams? And so he kind of like jerks awake and like maybe hits her or almost hits her. No, because we want them to get off on the right foot. I don't think we need to make it more antagonistic than it already is. Now, what is our personality for Link? This is where we kind of get to the major sticking point for a lot of people in regards to the comedic... Well, yeah, otherwise it wouldn't be comedic, would it? When we get to the personality of Link, this is where fans have been kind of divided over whether or not to give him a voice. While Link has shown personality throughout the games, particularly the further along in the series that we have gone, he is yet to be given a voice. One of the reasons that you do that is to provide player immersion. Since Link does not talk, you are more or less free to put your own voice into Link, which was the kind of the general intention. Link is supposed to be an avatar for the player. But since we are creating a story, unless you want to be really avant-garde about all of this, Link is going to have some kind of voice, and his general demeanor, disposition, facial expressions, etc. are going to create a personality. Quiet and generally cheerful. Because Ocarina of Time deals primarily, as the name kind of indicates, with time, and because we know that Link grows up, essentially, not just in the 7 years, but also maturity-wise growing up. At least that's how I have generally seen it. I think it makes a good case for Link to, in the beginning here, be a child. So, how do we do that? Generally cheerful is good. He is generally pretty happy. He has a good relationship with, I'd say, most of the people in the forest. He's also immature. Because he's 10. He doesn't have any adult figures in his life, except for the Great Deku Tree, which apparently you don't get to see all that much. Oh yeah, Mito's the exception. No question. And so we want to be able to express that immaturity. Not in any kind of offensive way, but that he is naive. He is quick to react and even overreact. But he is good-tempered, good-natured, and, of course, courageous. So with that in mind, what is our interaction then here with Navi? This is something that Link has dreamed of for years. I could see him being a little confused at first. Maybe disbelieving. We're taking too long. But as he asks what's going on, it's not that the Great Deku Tree asked Navi to be his partner. She asked him to fetch Link. I don't think at this point Navi is expecting to be Link's bosom companion for the rest of our story. Or the rest of, from now on. It's more of a, what are you doing here? Oh, well, the Deku Tree sent me to get sent me to get you. I could see Link jumping to conclusions and thinking that Navi is supposed to be his partner. So, Link is super excited about this. Oh my gosh, he has been waiting for forever for a fairy. Mito and whoever flunkies that Mito has teased him for this. A lot of the other kids, even if they're friends with him, they look at him weird. This is his chance to finally be one of the Kokiri. And so he's like jumping around, he's getting all excited, and like probably getting dressed and talking about all this stuff. And it takes Navi a little bit to like stop. It was like, hang on. I didn't agree to anything yet. The Deku Tree just sent me to get you, okay? We need to go see him. You need to help him. Oh, the Deku Tree needs me. All right. There's probably an exchange where Link asks Navi, could you just pretend? Just pretend to be my fairy for a little while? I've never had this. I want to feel what this is like. And Navi, seeing how intense Link is in that, she would, I would say, begrudgingly agree to this arrangement. But we don't have any time to waste. Navi is insistent on that. We need to go see him right now. Like, okay, let's go and see him right now. But the thing is that Saria happened to see the fairy fly around and specifically fly into Link's house. Alexandria, hello. And so, I imagine that the story or the rumors have already spread to the rest of the forest. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Link has a fairy. And if Link has a fairy, suddenly everybody's like, oh my gosh, the fairyless kid has a fairy. And so we might see like people talking with each other in different corners. And of course, Saria runs out to meet Link. Oh my gosh, a fairy. Finally, this is the best day. Link, because Link has feelings for Saria, at the very least has a bit of a crush on her. We know this. And so we would have that kind of exchange where Link is being a little shy, trying to... Okay, sorry. Can... Stop. Could you stop it? Look. This is Navi. Oh, hi, Navi. It's so great to meet you. No, it's not like that. Saria. She just came here to get me. She's not actually my fairy. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, that's okay. At least you get to spend some time with one, right? Yeah, that is really nice. And so that's kind of the general vein of that conversation. But then it's, well, why? Oh, the Deku Tree has summoned you. That's really important. Not necessarily quite an honor. The Kokiri already know about this. They know the importance of the Deku Tree. Link doesn't need to be told that. But... yeah, apparently it's really important. Phrase it how a kid might. Well, We're not creating a script here, so I'm not going to be able to, unless it's something right there on the screen and I'm like, we might want to change how this sounds. Like with this, like we're talking about right now. I'm not going to get, hopefully not going to get too crazy into the actual script, because we're not writing that. Anywho. So they're having this conversation. It's, oh, all right. And then Sari is probably like, well, that being said, you're probably going to have a hard time keeping a low profile or something along those lines, because everyone is talking about how Link suddenly has a fairy. Navi's probably on, there's probably something saying like, oh no. And Link kind of looking at Navi, it's like, okay. So Navi agrees to kind of keep up the ruse for now. And instead of us going all the way to the over here to run into Mito, I could see some kind of exchange like right here, because everybody else has heard about these rumors. They all want to see what's happening. And it's like, oh my gosh, he has a fairy. Link has a fairy. And they're all running over. And they're all talking and congratulating him. Link's acting all embarrassed, but really happy and proud. And Navi is kind of being a little, I can't see this ending well. And that is when Mito shows up. And Mito, of course, is our big bully. He doesn't have any kind of, obviously, any kind of physical strength. He probably doesn't do too much in terms of physical bullying, but he has certainly ragged on Link for not having a fairy, as well as other things. And so Mito does indeed cause problems. There's probably kind of that whole schoolyard arguing thing that kids do. These are a couple of 10-year-olds, essentially, arguing about what's going on. Mito's probably like, I hear Mr. No Fairy's finally got a fairy. And trying to, since he can't make fun of him for not having a fairy anymore, he has to try and belittle him for taking so long. And possibly he starts trying to make fun of Navi, demeaning Navi as a way to demean Link. If Navi is an inferior fairy, then it only makes sense that he would come to an inferior person. During that exchange, Link stands up for Navi. And so there's a little bit of a scuffle, kids acting as kids do. If we have the fairies talking with each other, Mito's fairy might know Navi and is probably trying to get Mito to stop. It's like, dude, you have no idea who you're talking to. Navi is like one of the great Deku Tree's most trusted, and he just keeps going. Mito keeps going, ignores his own fairy, and Link then stands up for Navi, which Navi is impressed by. So obviously this is not a poor, gonna get pushed around boy. He has some spine to him. And so finally, after a little bit of pushing and scuffling, in fact, I can even see Link kind of winning this kind of fight. And then it's a, if you'll excuse me, the great Deku Tree has summoned me. And that's when Mito's disposition changes just a little bit Just a little bit. He's not willing to accept that Link has bested him, but he does more or less have an ear to the ground in regards to some things are going on around here that you can't just waltz in and do anything. And obviously, Link is not just going to take it from Mito's at Mito's word. But there is enough conversation happening around them, and even from Saria, that strange things are happening. In fact, if we go back over and we talk to Saria, let's get through this. There is this that you're not even fully equipped yet. That's not a. But you can't. You can't help him. What do you mean you can't? I can't help him. He called me. I'm going to help him. Not without some equipment, you're not. And so then the conversation turns back to Saria, because of course Saria is part of this conversation, as is all of the other Kokiri. And so it's, well, Link actually, he has a point. A point? What do you mean? Strange things have been happening here lately in the forest. You need to be ready for anything. You better find a weapon. And it's, oh. Okay. Link would look up at Navi, and Navi's kind of looking a little hesitant, but it's a, yeah, we are kind of having those bits of problems. And so it's a, okay, well, if we need equipment, let's go find some equipment. And the first place they would go is to the store. We would skip the tutorial stuff, because we don't really need that. So first you go to the store, you see what's available, and there is a shield, 40 rupees. 40 rupees, that's a lot of money. He would ask about swords, because he could only find a shield. And I think it would be from here. Maybe from this girl. Not necessarily this explanation, but the idea of, oh, you're looking for a sword, or you say you're looking for a weapon. Well, most of us just use sticks and nuts to defend ourselves. But I did hear that there was a weapon. Like a real weapon somewhere. Somewhere? And it's really, really vague. It's like, well, what's that supposed to mean? But it's somewhere. Well, first things first. Let's find a shield. So Link would go home first. And he would check out his bank. He doesn't have a whole lot of money. So he would have to start running around trying to find money. There's a couple of ways that you could potentially handle the rupee situation. We could have a montage of him running around and trying to find rupees. Whoops. It could be. He could also be doing odd jobs. So, for example, I want to make sure that some individuals we meet with. This girl in particular, I want to make sure that we meet because she has relevance in the future. So, meeting with and talking with particular individuals, you could maybe learn a little bit more about daily life in Kokiri Forest, kind of get an idea of the games that people play with each other. I could see Link maybe having to perform challenges for money. I don't necessarily think we would be robbing Mito, though. Also, I'd like to say in passing, this is the first time I've ever called him Mito instead of... I grew up with him with saying Mito. But just thinking in terms of general pronunciation for the Japanese language, Mito is more likely to be the correct pronunciation. Anywho. So it's kind of doing all of these challenges and looking around, trying to find stuff. And it's as he's in the course of doing that, this sign would not be here, obviously. Like, oh, here's an obvious sign. It would be more of a, wait a second, what's this? I think Navi would be the one to point this passageway, if you will, or this little secluded area. It's kind of a... Link, I think I hear something. You hear something? Yeah, over here. And so wandering through here, there would certainly be a... Ow. I don't know, would there be something involving the boulder? This boulder is rather randomly placed here for no reason. I don't know if the boulder necessarily needs to be here. Not sure about that. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, we don't want it to be an obvious thing. It's something that you would find in the course of exploring and trying to find money. However, it is important, I would say, for this to be... Obviously, they try to make this a little bit more prominently placed, but I would almost see it as a... Think of it as a prototypical Temple of Time. So just like the Temple of Time, where the Master Sword is enshrined, this would actually be maybe an old forest kind of shrine that is designed, though Link does not know or recognize it just yet. It would look very similar in design and orientation to the Temple of Time. And in the middle of it, there would be the sword. And so Link would find it and be like, oh my gosh, this must be it. And not opening a treasure chest, he would either pull it out or pick it up, however it happens, whatever way it happens to be enshrined in this location. So with the sword, he's able to return and get up. And of course, he has all of this money. Hey, thank you. I want this. Thank you. Now, I do think we should have one more exchange with Mito. But the question is, what does that exchange look like? How about once Link emerges from where he got the sword, he either runs into Saria or maybe even Saria is waiting for him. One of the major things that I think the game kind of needs to do, if you will, or obviously not the game, the story needs to do, is it needs to demonstrate the innate abilities of our future sages. We get a lot of opportunity to do that with Saria, because we have a couple of chances where we get to interact with her specifically. When we get to the other sages, we have specific things that we need to do in that in order to create that kind of situation. So, with Saria coming out from where we got the sword and meeting her soon after, there would be oh, Link, you found it. And then probably Saria would tell Link about kind of... It's not really the legend or the origins of the Kokiri sword, but she would be the one to identify what the Kokiri sword actually is. And that discussion of, okay, so this is a sword, and that's what this is for, so... And Link's kind of like looking at it, waving it around, kind of... Because what kid hasn't done that with a stick already, so it's pretty easy for him to do something like that. He's obviously not trained in using it, but he can at least kind of swing it around and do stuff. And then they go to the store together to purchase the shield, because Link has found enough money to do that. And then when they come out, Link and Saria both would talk to Mito. So the question then is, what is Mito pestering them about this time? Maybe because Link has been running around the forest looking for money, maybe Mito has thought of a way to give Link money that would be debasing or embarrassing for him to do. And he's already come up with this embarrassing task that's something that he would never do himself. Something beyond the... what you see that one kid doing, cleaning up the grass in front of Mito's house or picking up rocks. Which... actually, you know, he could potentially use one of those. Something along the lines of, well, if you're looking for money, I got some chores for you. You know, something along those lines. Something that basically just helps Mito getting out of doing something that he doesn't want to do. But then he sees both Link and Saria coming out. Link already has a shield. He tries to play it off as a, oh, well, you don't need that. Well, perhaps I could give you information. You know, he's trying to play into the other thing that Link needs, except Link already has the sword. So at this point, Mito is trying to kind of console himself, justify himself. A wimp is still a wimp, etc. Then Saria steps in front of Link, and kind of a similar scene to what happens in Skyward Sword when Zelda stands up against a Groose. Same kind of idea where Saria is standing up against Mito, and Mito is flustered and annoyed because, of course, Mito likes Saria, and yeah. So, similar situation to Groose. He stomps off, goes away, and it's a, all right, let's go. And then right around here, Saria says, all right, good luck. You're not coming with me? I wasn't invited. Don't worry, you can do it. I believe in you. Okay, I'll be back. And then he heads off. I don't think we necessarily need to worry about these Dekubabas being here. On the other hand, what if this passageway gets progressively darker? Like, as he's going, it quickly gets... Like, the canopy suddenly gets really thick. Increased vines, kind of like the ones we're seeing here. And then... Link has been here before. Albeit not personally summoned, more like in a group gathering, as it were. And there could be perhaps some Dekubabas that Link has to defend himself from. Yeah. So that is the... So that's kind of the encounter. Oh no, what are these things doing here? And even Navi will be like, those were not here when I left to get you. The darkness is growing. Oh no, we need to do something about this. Time is getting even shorter. So then they hurry forward and reach the Deku Tree. At this point, it should be painfully obvious that the Deku Tree does not look well. I would definitely want to take the Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom format in that the Deku Tree's mouth moves. I feel like that would be... that would make a little bit more sense. And so I almost feel like a lot of this initial conversation kind of goes as is. Maybe almost, I would say, maybe not listen to what I'm about to tell thee. It's more of a, Link, you have reached it. You have reached here. I am glad to see you have arrived safely. And Link would respond with a, yeah, things have gotten really dark and creepy, and some plants tried to attack me. Yes, the darkness is growing. I slumber these past moons must have been restless and full of nightmares. And Link is already, like, kind of flashing in his, maybe like quick flashbacks of the dark nightmares that he just had. And it's just like, yes, Yes, a vile climate pervades the land, causes nightmares to those sensitive to it. But then what's happening? What's going on? Link, the time has come to test thy courage. My courage? Yes, I have been cursed. And so you'll notice that he says cursed, not said that he has been made ill or that he's dying. I want that to be as big of a quote-unquote surprise as possible. And so I need you to break the curse. How do I do that? Come this way. And so the Deku Tree would need to lead, kind of direct Link to the entrance, as it were, to this dungeon. Instead of opening his mouth, which has always looked really, really weird, I'd like to think of it more as a fissure in the Deku Tree's side that looks like something has burrowed into him. It could even be the case that Goma was the thing that burrowed into him. But at the very least, whether it came in and drilled itself in there, or if it was just the nature of the general curse that Ganondorf put on him that rotted in from the inside out and allowed things to get in. But this is what do I need to do? I need you to find the root of this curse. It has embedded itself within me. Link would look at it. I could see the Deku Tree being gentle with him and saying kind of what you would normally say in a situation like this. There is no dishonor in being scared. I know this is a heavy burden to have placed upon you so suddenly. I'm grateful to see that you have taken precautions, but this is a great task, and I understand it. No, you have been good to me. You called me, so you must think I can do this. Let's at least go in and find out. Thank you. And then Navi is then asked to go with him. Wait, what? Please, Navi. Link will need your help. Thou must aid Link. Pay attention. You can find things and reach places that Link cannot. So, just this overall, I am entrusting you to each other. Keep each other safe. Find what is causing this curse and put an end to it before the entire forest is doomed. Now, specifically, before the entire forest is doomed, nothing in regards to the state of the Deku Tree. Very important distinction that we want to make sure is held. So Link kind of shuffles his way inside the tiny crack, kind of moving, saddling his way around until finally the place opens up inside. And Link is in kind of amazed, like, oh wow, look at all this space. But Navi is even more concerned. Oh my gosh, what has happened to the Great Deku Tree? This is a problem. I'm having a conversation, Deku Baba, go away. I could see Link walking forward. Not yet, Navi. I could see him looking around, walking forward, looking, and then suddenly his foot gets stuck. His foot gets stuck because he stepped on a web, and it's kind of kind kind of fall over. It's just, what in the world is this? Link is looking at the webs, and then Navi, of course, like we just saw, Navi's the one to point out is, huh, you can see down from here. I could see Link trying to, like, cut the webs, but it's not having any real effect. It's too thick. And then Navi would call Link over to a bunch of vines. Maybe you can go up instead. So Link would grab some vines and start slowly climbing up, probably slipping once or twice, and making his way upwards. I don't see any reason for there to be maps or compasses, at the very least in the Deku Tree or Jabu Jabu's belly. Because those are living entities. No one, at the very least with the Deku Tree, this should be a recently made hovel. There should not be a map of this place, and obviously compasses don't perform the function that they do in the game. We will collect them because, of course, we're going to collect everything because I'm a freaking completionist. But that's kind of how that goes. Same thing, Navi doesn't need to explain to Link how to open a door. However, in fact, in a place like this, there shouldn't be any actual doors. So we're not going to worry about that. Now, that being said, there would be a point where Link is wandering around and he probably gets hit in the back by the Deku Scrub. He's like, what? Hey? He runs forward, trying to deal with this, and he can't get at him. I cannot get at the Scrub. He kind of backs up. He starts like walking away. And then it happens again. But this time he's able to jump. He probably tries to swing at it. But eventually he's like, wait a sec, let's do this. And that really throws him for a loop. He's not necessarily running around like this, but kind of that, why? We don't need this information, but the Deku Scrub would definitely be someone that Link could get at least initial information from. So, who are you? What are you doing here? How do we want to treat these Deku Scrubs? Because we have a few different kinds of Deku Scrubs throughout the world. We have these ones living in the tree. We have the attack ones, the red ones that are all over the place. And we also have the business scrubs, as well as the ones in the Deku Theater. So it's not like we can say that all Deku Scrubs serve Queen Goma. That doesn't make any kind of sense. But obviously these ones do. So what kind of information is this Deku Scrub giving Link? He would probably hit it, and the Deku Scrub would be a little, dazed at getting hit in the face. And I can only assume that at least Navi, if not both Navi and Link, know what Deku Scrubs are. Because they live in the forest. That seems to be a foregone conclusion. There have probably been Deku businessmen who have come through the village. Really the only commerce that they have. But what are they doing in here? They must have been attracted to this place by something. And maybe that is the only information that Link is able to get from this individual. Because I bet as soon as this Deku Scrub gets enough of a hold on its bearings again, and basically just dives into the ground. Now, the presence of items in dungeons is an interesting situation to have to deal with. It depends on the item in question. So, for example, if you're in a temple, it makes sense that there would be sacred artifacts or the like. But we're in a tree here. So let's back up a bit. Let's back up and say that Link was more or less tricked into coming into this room. The Deku Scrub from before more or less bribes Link and says, let me go, let me go. I was just trying to find a place to stay. If you'll let me go, I will show you where there's some really cool stuff. And so Link would come in here. He would come through. The Deku Scrub would probably shove him off the ledge and down here, and then laugh and run off. Maybe instead of there being as many Deku Scrubs as there are, maybe Link is only chasing one particular Deku Scrub through this whole place. If that's the case, maybe then Link believes that the Deku Scrub is the source of the curse. He doesn't know what the curse looks like. But obviously, that Deku Scrub is a big old jerk and shouldn't be in here. Maybe he is the source. So it's like, oh my gosh, if I can get out of here, I will totally beat that guy up. So they're looking around, and Navi flies up to... It's not necessarily as solid of a ladder as that, but probably like a tangle of vines or something is of a... if only we could... And she's probably like pulling on the vine, and it's not really moving. We need something to knock these vines down, or something to that effect. But as it turns out, the Deku Scrub wasn't technically lying, as there was maybe not a fully intact slingshot like this, but there was enough materials for the slingshot to be put together. I'm missing Link. No, this is not randomized. Randomizing happens on Saturday. So, with enough materials lying around to put the slingshot together, Link can then Link can then utilize what Navi was talking about to get that down. Good old stretch. So now Link is set. All right, let's find that scrub so we can take care of this curse. Obviously, we can't go down. So we must have to go up. I wonder if we should have a... Yes. You would have a situation where Link is... He's being very single-minded. So he looks around. It's like, this must be the only way that the scrub could have gone. So he starts climbing. He starts climbing really, really fast. And then Navi's like, Link, wait. Stop! It's like, stop. What do you mean, stop? Stop! Because there is a Scatola just a few feet away. And it's just a, don't move. And then the Scatola like gets really close, but Link isn't moving, so it doesn't do anything. And then it slowly starts to move away. And it's like, go. There could even be like a little chase thing where the Scatola goes after him, but Link is able to get away. And then Link is just like oh my gosh, I can't believe what? And it sees the big one. It's like, oh my gosh, get away! And it's obviously the hard shell isn't doing anything, and so Navi then points out the soft underbelly that Link is then able to dispatch. So now looking around, as we said before, we're not going to worry about the presence of compasses, particularly in this place. We're not going to be worrying about doors. We're just getting these because, well, that's what I do. I get stuff. Oh, wait, before we do this, grab this. Now, the gold Scatolas is an interesting question, because the Scatola Collection side quest doesn't really have anything to do with, well, anything, as in regards to the main story. But being able to collect as many different story points as possible, I think would be beneficial. Just to try and collect as many different threads as humanly possible. So since we already dealt with a small Scatola and a big Scatola, still wandering around looking for our Deku Scrub, he hears more scritching happen on the wall, and it's like, another one, and then he's looking, it's like trying to find it so he doesn't get jumped by it, and then he sees the glint of gold. And it's, that's interesting. And so he decides that he should dispatch it. Just because, you know, it's a bug. And Link is curious. And so he would do what most boys would do with bugs. If he can't catch it, he gonna kill it. And so he kills it, and then the strange emblem that's left behind, the Scatola token, is left behind. But after going through all of this upper area and seeing no sign of the Deku Scrub, the question is, well, where did he go? And so they're looking around. Yeah, we're just killing it and it takes it because it's cool. Dude, it's a 10-year-old kid with a bug. I think that's very in line with Link's character right now. So, coming back in this area, and Navi would say something along the lines of, well, that scrub isn't anywhere around here. And I'm kind of walking along, it's like, man, I bet those big spiders are the ones who created all these webs. And then she'd look over, it's like, oh, look, you can see that one down in the middle. Huh. I wonder how strong these things are. And, like, kind of pressing up against one, there's a little bit of a bouncy elasticity to them. And then Link is kind of looking down. And Navi is like, what are you doing? Link, what are you doing? It goes from a wee to a... It goes with a splash, and Link's like, I'm okay! Oh, you've got to be kidding me, Link. Where are we? Now, a lot of the mechanisms down here, I submit, don't make much sense for our dungeon. So... It's one of those strange things about this setup, is because obviously this is meant to be our beginner dungeon, which teaches us, the player, how things work. But as far as our story is concerned, it makes no sense, really, to have torches and the like down here. Got it! I feel so cool I'm able to make that jump. Now, first off, I did that, A, because I wanted to practice. I want to do better at that, because when I do randomizers, I kind of need it. But I also kind of wonder whether or not we need to go through the rest of this bottom floor. That is the wrong button. All of those were the wrong buttons. Let me press the right button. Because there really isn't anything else on this floor that we actually need. Everything else is down below. There are no treasure chests. There's no real anything. Except the question is, how do we deal with this thread right here? I think potentially it would be sparks. Sparks coming from the sword. So we're spending this whole time basically chasing the Deku Scrub around on this floor. And how do we want to... How do we want to approach this? Because we can certainly go around as we're talking. In fact, let's do that. We Because there would definitely be some indication that the Deku Scrub is down here, and that's something that we would need for our story. So obviously, Deku Scrub is here. And just as before, this would create an opportunity. In this case, there wouldn't be a... There would not be a conflict like this. There would not be a conversation like this, because it's like, oh, the Deku Scrub knows that the kid got busted, as it were. I would say the kid got out. It's like, oh no. So there's not so much of a traitor as there is a chase sequence. And so while we don't necessarily have this, the spinning thing and the switch, because this is basically just here to teach us how to dive. There would be enough of a, like, something diving into the water, jumping back out, because the Deku Scrub is plant matter, as it were. He has a... Also, he's kind of part of the curse, if you will. We've kind of talked about that. He kind of has an ability to go, like, in, pop out on another side. And so Link is chasing the Scrub this entire way. Oh, that's right. These guys. There should definitely be a point during the chase where we get into an open area like this. It seems pretty obvious that the Scrub has run off again. And it's a... Dang it, where did he go? Where did he go? We gotta find him. Link probably brushes a little bit of the flakes off of his arm. And then Navi is the one who first looks up. And says, Link? What? He looks up. And then the eggs fall down. And then the egg hatches. And it's a, what in the world is that? And then as soon as one dies, another one pops up. And then another one pops up. And it's an, oh my gosh, kind of moment. What was that? I don't know. And then it's kind of a, well, we better keep an eye out for those. Whatever they were. And then Link says something along the lines of, come on, we gotta go find that Deku Scrub. And as they fly off, Navi would say, probably, like, more to herself than anything else, of, I don't know if that Deku Scrub is the source of the curse. Now, we could somehow implement fire, or we could just say that this web was never present and Link just climbs down by himself. It could simply be another scene where Link shows up, not even necessarily climbing down, just in a different room, swimming along in this pool and moving forward. The other thing that we could do is there is a web. They're looking around, and Navi is probably saying to herself something along the lines of, if only we could burn it. And how do we do that? Link, however, is interested in the bombable wall that we passed by earlier. So, if that is the case, and Link is interested in the wall, he's probably like tapping on it, maybe even like hitting it with the sword, and then he sees sparks coming off of it. And he's like, wait a second. And so then he'll run over and then kind of like trying to make sparks on the ground with his sword, maybe grabbing a rock to use as a flint. And eventually that actually sets it on fire. This encounter with the Deku Scrub here, I would say it's not 3, it's just the one that we've been chasing this whole time. But he's popping up in a whole bunch of different spots. We can hear him talking, basically saying like he's run out of places to run. And during the conversation, there is a reference that the Deku Scrub makes to his queen. And so once Link is able to defeat the Scrub, Navi would ask, who is this queen? And basically, this Deku Scrub was a normal Deku Scrub, but the presence of the queen, his queen, more or less corrupted him. And so he would be treating her almost like an object of worship. So the question then is, what is this Deku Scrub's fate? Do we kill the Deku Scrub or do we let it run off? I think I'm better leaving him, like letting him run off. Yeah, I think that would make the most sense. Now, there's obviously no discussion about, oh, by the way, this thing that I worship as my queen, here's how to kill her. We would not do... we would not have that in the story, because that makes no sense. But with Link probably getting ready to kill the Scrub, it's like Navi would reaffirm it's not his fault. He's not the source of the curse. I bet if you kill the source, this queen, he'll be better. And Link kind of stops, and like nods his head, says, "Get out of here." Or maybe not, doesn't even say get out of here, just kind of steps back, and then the Deku Scrub, probably being very pitiful sounding, thanks him and runs off. So then, as they are walking through here, Link and Navi are having the conversation of, well, if it wasn't the Deku Scrub, then what was it? Then you flash back to the Maybe. I don't know. My question is, though, is why in the world would the Deku Scrub even know that? Why would he know that his beloved queen has a weak point to begin with? Doesn't make much sense to me. Besides, I think it's more fun when the hero figures it out himself. So, so we get this flashback of the larval thingies that they saw earlier. Well, what made those things? And then they start hearing the scrabbly noises. That doesn't sound like a spider. Well, maybe not a small spider. That doesn't sound like a big spider. What does it sound like? Like a really, really, really big spider. But that would mean... And then this happens. So first, obvious reaction of, oh my gosh! Kind of a runaway and, oh, what the heck is that? Oh, what the heck is that? First thing to try is the sword, which does nothing. Dude, you see how intimidating this thing looks? Like, really? Sorry, side comment, but it's like a, wait, holy cow, what is... So first it's a, oh my gosh, thank goodness it ran off, like, oh no. Then it sees the eggs coming out, and then it's like, oh no. So they have to fight off a little more. And then, once again, on the hunt, and then Navi notices, wait, look at its eye! And that's when Link gets the idea of doing that. And so now, Link has a bit more confidence, and he's feeling braver. Now he's keeping a close watch on him. And that's when he sees, anytime, Goma's eye turns red, and he is able to kill it. Obviously, the fight would be a lot more dramatic than what we just pulled off here. But the overall process, and of course the overall result, is the same. Also, I don't think we would necessarily have heart pieces and heart containers, because that's more of a gimmick in terms of the game for the health. But, of course, our hero is getting better and stronger with every trial he overcomes. Speaking of game mechanics, this is obviously set to be a quick jump. So I don't necessarily think that it makes sense to have this here as an actual mechanic. Like an actual thing that happens in the game. Or like in the story, I should say. So instead, Link would basically crawl his way back out. And the next scene of our story, we would see him emerging from inside the Deku Tree the same way that he came in. And once he gets out, He is elated. He has done the thing. He runs out back in front of the great Deku Tree. I did it! I did it! And the response is very, very weak. Well done, Link. And it is obvious that the Deku Tree is not getting better. Let me grab some water real quick, and we will continue this. Immediate reaction from both Link and Navi. Deku Tree, what's wrong? Why are you... Thank you, Link. Thou hast barely demonstrated thy courage. I knew that thou wouldst be able to carry out my wishes. This is classic deathbed conversation. Now, I have more and more to tell thee. Please, listen. I think Navi would be the first in this case to once again kind of implore the Deku Tree. What's wrong? You need to rest. You need to recover. Please. You must. Listen carefully. A wicked man of the desert cast this dreadful curse upon me. The words. The story that we are about to get, not just of Ganondorf, the wicked man of the desert. We don't even no, you know what? I don't even want to say a wicked man of the desert. We'll just say a wicked man. We're just going to say a wicked man. Because we'll find out about the desert part later. So let's expand this just a little bit further and say something more to the effect of this darkness was not just upon the forest, it was upon me. This wicked man cast this dreadful curse upon me in his quest for power, or something to that effect. And the response from Navi and or Link would be, why? What do you have to do with getting power? Because of what this man aims to obtain. This evil man ceaselessly uses his sorcerous powers in his search for the sacred realm that is connected to... He could say Hyrule, maybe to this world. For it is in that sacred realm that one will find the divine relic which contains the essence of the gods. The Triforce. I like having the name be at the end because it gives the name additional emphasis. That's just a semantic question of phrasing. Doesn't really change the sentence. And then it's the what? What is... That is a story that dates back before time began. Spirits and life existed when 3 golden goddesses descended upon the chaos that was Hyrule. Din, the goddess of power. Nehru, the goddess of wisdom. And Faroa, the goddess of courage. And just occurs to me that the goddesses of power, wisdom, and courage were probably goddesses of other things as well. Like agriculture and life and whatnot. But obviously we're just going to be using power, wisdom, and courage because the Triforce. And we don't necessarily need to give them all of their domains and titles in this story, because all that is necessary for our storytelling is the formation of the Triforce, which is the most important part. If we were to maybe flesh out the pantheon, or at the very least flesh out these three goddesses. Oh yeah, no, the scene is amazing, and I love the music. We could potentially add in that additional stuff. So keep that in mind, because I do plan on having some time in the Temple of Time just for us, as opposed to rushing through to get to the Master Sword. That story and this statement right here is, I don't think I would change it. Well, aside from, like I said, we're not calling him a desert man, just the man, the evil man in black armor to lay his hands. In black armor? I don't know, maybe just that man. No, I can say black armor because that was what he was wearing when he put the curse on him. Yeah. No, this works. And since, once again, he is slowly losing it, his breath is ragged, he's clinging to life as he's trying to get these final words out. Navi is probably in tears at this point, trying to, like, urge the Deku Tree to like, save his strength, you know, the things that everyone says, but it's like trying to convince themselves that the person is not going to die in a minute. That was the man who cast this curse upon me, sapped my power, and doomed me to death. And then it's a, doomed you to death? What? Yes, because of that curse, my end is nigh. We see all these, you know, these lights and things flying around the Deku Tree. This would be a moment where I bet the Deku Tree would have either called the fairies or maybe even had called the fairies and the Kokiri to gather, because they are all his children and he would want to say goodbye to all of them. And so it's not just Link and Navi there. At this point, right around now, it becomes apparent that everybody is here. And so once again, the Deku Tree does congratulate Link for breaking the curse and saving the forest. He does reaffirm that he was doomed before the quest even began. And this is, yes, I will pass away soon. Everybody starts crying. They're full of tears. There's a whole bunch of no's coming from fairies and Kokiri alike. But do not grieve for me. I have been able to tell you of these important matters. I love you. You know, the usual grandparents giving his love to all of his grandchildren, all of that important stuff. And then it's, I have one final request for Link. Go now, leave the forest, and go to Hyrule Castle. So here's my question, and I think I already know where I want to go with this way. Why go meet the princess, aside from the fact that, of course, it's Princess Zelda? It's possible that the Deku Tree could have, you know, premonitions and whatnot to say, go see her. If Link has the Kokiri Emerald as kind of proof of him being the emissary from the Great Deku Tree, why not have him just go see the king directly? Unless those two things that we just said, or if the Deku Tree kind of figure that the king would not be receiving an emissary from a child. I like the idea of Link intending to see the king and instead meets Zelda. I think that's kind of more serendipitous, which is more fun than just, you have been destined to do all of the things. Now go fulfill this next part of your destiny. It feels a little bit too ordained, and I enjoy the serendipity of, I meant to do this, but we ended up with this, and for some reason this works. So we're gonna run with it. So let's do that. He could mention both of them, but I do kind of want Link's initial intention is to meet the king. So let's go with that. Please go and see the king. The king must know what has transpired here. And take this stone. The stone would be brought down, probably held by a few fairies, and given to Link. I wonder if the Kokiri Emerald should be indicated that this is what the evil man wanted, or if it's just supposed to be kind of his proof. Show this to the king and to no one else. Or maybe just to the royal family. Only the royal family should see this gem, for it is precious beyond all the treasures of the forest, or something to that effect. Keep it secret, keep it safe. You could say that this is the stone that the evil man wanted, but as long as you get the emphasis that this is not something that you should just be parading around to everybody, I think we'll get the message across one way or the other. Kokiri Emerald has the best design of all three spiritual stones. That's just my opinion. Keep it secret. Keep it safe. So, final words are definitely being given to several of the Kokiri and fairies at this point. Probably some cryptic words to Saria regarding her ancestry or her destiny as a sage, though not explicitly said like that, of course. Mito is probably encouraged to stop being a jerk. maybe, I don't know. And a general I love you to everybody. And again, Link, please do this thing. Navi, help Link to carry out my will. And now the two are actually partners. Navi is, of course, still crying. Deku Tree, you cannot leave. I entreat ye, Navi. Goodbye. And so passes the great Deku Tree. So everyone's crying, everyone's sad. This would wait, because since all the Kokiri are here, this gives Mito the perfect opportunity to immediately jump on Link and say, oh my gosh, Link, you killed the great Deku Tree. And that causes a whole hullabaloo between everybody about whether or not it's Link's fault. But the Deku Tree trusted Link. Yeah, well, he's dead right after Link did whatever he was supposed to do. He said it was inevitable. Well, maybe if Link was better. And, you know, all of that arguing back and forth about what's happening. And then Navi is tearfully trying to pull Link away, who is standing there probably speechless. Saria would believe Link, except Saria is no longer present. She's not there for some reason. It's not something that would be explicitly pointed out, but to people who are watching this or reading this hypothetical movie or book or whatever, you could look at the crowd of all the Kokiri arguing with each other and realize that Saria is not amongst them. She's gone. But Link is standing there essentially speechless. He still cannot believe that despite everything that he did, everything that he went through, the fear, the struggle, oh my gosh, I did this thing, I fought that terrifying spider thing, and I did it, I broke the thing, he said I broke the thing, wait, why is he dead? Are you telling me that everything I did was meaningless? And, you know, for a 10-year-old, that's really hard to wrap your mind around. That despite you did the thing right, it didn't go the way you thought it would. And so it's Navi with tear-filled eyes pulling Link away and saying, let's go. Let's go to Hyrule Castle. It's what the Deku Tree wanted. Both of them would look back at the Deku Tree and say one final goodbye. They leave the arguing crowd, all of them in various states of anger, resentment, loss, and tears. While Link rushes home and grabs whatever supplies that he thinks he's going to need. Food, essentials, so on and so forth. Because everybody is still at the Deku Tree, this place is pretty much empty as Link runs towards the exit. There is definitely a sign here that warns that forest folk should not leave the woods under any circumstances. But as he's leaving, a single voice calls out. Maybe next to a tree. And there is Saria. Link would try and explain something. He's not entirely certain what it is. That it wasn't his fault, or he didn't mean for things to end out this way. He's trying to find the right words to explain everything that just happened. Except that he's still trying to come to terms with what just happened. But Saria, of course, believes him. And Saria does have trust in him. And Saria also is much more connected to the forest than anyone else. And so I think perhaps this is a time where both Saria and Link would maybe sit and weep together. And this conversation would come about on the back end of it. I knew you would leave eventually. Because you're different from the rest of us. Me and my friends. And Link, again, has always felt a little self-conscious about obviously being different, fairy or not. But that's okay. Because we'll be friends. Friends forever. Won't we? And Link automatically say, oh, of course! Of course we will! Why wouldn't we be? I've always thought of you as, stumbling over his words, not having enough courage, per se, to confess his feelings for her. But always, of course, wanting to be friends with Saria. And that is when Saria hands him this ocarina. It doesn't necessarily sparkle, but Link has definitely seen Saria playing the ocarina before. And it's you're giving me this? But isn't this your... It's okay. I can make another one. Link would kind of mess with it a little bit, try and get an idea of how it functions. Saria may kind of help him a little bit. And after a little bit, Link probably not fully understanding how it's supposed to function, she'll just say, just spend some time with it. I'm sure you'll get better. Just promise me that whenever you play my ocarina, I hope you'll think of me and come back to the forest to visit. It's an awkward departure. And yet at the same time, Link leaves feeling better about his standing at home and his eventual destination. And it is now, as he emerges and is suddenly met with the expansive view of Hyrule Field. Now, I'm going to pause this because we know how the day-night cycle goes here, and I don't want to... lead us into a situation that we don't want to be dealing with in the middle of the night. So he leaves, and he is suddenly met with the expansive Hyrule Field. He doesn't know it's called Hyrule Field, but we know what it is. And he is in awe, walking through some of the trees that are now getting less and less sparse, seeing an expansive sky that he's never quite seen so open before, because there's always been a canopy of some kind overhead in the forest. And it is during this time of awe that he hears an owl hooting, which is not unusual. There have been owls in the forest before, but then he hears his name. And he looks up and sees the largest owl that he has ever seen in his life. And it's a first kind of an expression out loud as Link, it kind of gives this, wow, I've never seen an owl so big. Are these owls all over the place in the big wide world? And that's when the owl answers again, speaking, "No, you will find that this owl is a very unique variety," or, something to that effect. I'm almost thinking his mannerisms are very similar to Owl from Winnie the Pooh, though only in that it is much more flowery and cultured, as opposed to Owl and Winnie the Pooh, who basically only uses those words to sound smart, even though he has no idea what he's talking about half the time. This owl does know what he's talking about all the time. And so the question is, what is the owl's purpose? Now, the owl's purpose in the game, is to give you instructions in regards to the map, music note, it's tutorial information. And so, also voice Tigger. We love Jim Cummings. So the question is, what purpose is the owl giving here? Well, actually, Link would probably know. Well, what are you doing here? Oh, just flying around, seeing the state of things here in the world. Navi would probably respond, well, then you're very well traveled. Yes, I would say so. Then could you point us the way to Hyrule Castle? Ah, yes, I am very familiar with the place. And so he would kind of give them directions. Tell me then, what is your purpose in going to the castle? Now, Link is at this point kind of overwhelmed. And so he would immediately say something along the lines of, we're going to go see the king. And Navi would berate him. It's like, Link, we're not supposed to be telling people. Oh. But the owl is very jovial. He certainly has no... I'm trying to paint him as a very amicable individual. And so, well, then I see dramatic events are about to unfold as one of the Kokiri emerges for the first time in who knows how long. Well, I shall watch your journey with interest. By the way, I suggest you reach the castle. I suggest you reach the castle before the sun sets. Why? Dark shadow seems to be growing across the land of Hyrule. Spirits that have passed are growing restless. Do mind yourself. This world is large, but it is also large and beautiful, but it is also dangerous. Something along those lines. While the owl we know that the owl is there to be one of our guides. I want it to be less obvious that the owl has more of a overall knowledge of everything that's going on. I'm trying to eliminate the Link is the chosen one from the very beginning type of narration. Again, because I like serendipity and the idea that anybody could potentially be the hero, as it were. Also, this is the worst. Why did they do this? It's rude. And so I'd say, well, okay, what time is it? And they look up, it's like, oh, it's afternoon. How far to the castle? We didn't ask. Okay. So they just start running. And initially, they're running pretty fast. But this place is pretty. It's big. It's open, and Link can't help but get distracted. And so... Oh. Have I ever seen him being over there? Huh. I'm not going to go over there, but it's just kind of interesting. And so it's only until about sunset when they're like, oh, wait a second, we gotta go. And they run all the way, yelling at them to wait and to hold, and they don't, and they stop here, and it's like, well, great. Now what? And obviously that one is there, but I want to have one of those little jump scare moments where the Stout Children are actually behind Link. And so Navi would draw Link's attention. It's like, well, now what do we do? We find something's like, Link, what? Turns around. And then they run because, of course, you're running from skeletons. It's terrifying. More pop out of the ground. They run like mad. They see lights in the distance. And they run into Lon Lon Ranch. Now, it's interesting that we run into Lon Lon Ranch now because Malon and Talon aren't here right now. So Link would knock on the door, call out. There's obviously no response, nothing in there but them chickens. But he knocks and yells for so long that a gruff, angry voice calls out from behind him. You little weirdo, really? What are you doing hanging around here? What are you doing here? Like, we ran into... Navi's probably hiding at this point. And Link is trying to explain himself. And this is where he learns initially about Ingo and Lon Lon Ranch. And I don't think that Ingo complaining about Talon would happen immediately. However, what I think would happen is Link would basically, he would explain himself, what he's doing here. He would ask for a place to sleep. And Ingo would be very begrudging about it. And eventually would kind of acquiesce. Like, okay, fine, you can sleep in the barn. And while Link is getting himself comfortable, he hears Talon in the background complaining about all the stuff that he has to do. He's not complaining to Link. He's complaining a little bit about Link, but not like Link is a horrible, horrible person. It's more like, oh my gosh, one more thing I gotta worry about. Well, I'm busy dealing with the horses and the cows and typical Ingo complaining, as you would expect. I've been playing randomizer so long, I forgot how slow pulling blocks is. I don't necessarily think this place has a plot significance. It's a piece of heart, so I'm grabbing a piece of heart. So Link would stay here at the ranch. Until the next day. And as he's certainly woken up by Ingo, who's doing the early morning chores, once again kind of complaining. And Link would probably ask, where is the ranch owner? And he would be like, he went to the castle the other day. Still hasn't come back, the lazy, good-for-nothing so-and-so. And Link would probably say, well, I'll keep an eye out for him for you if you'd like. Nah. And Ingo being Ingo, not that it matters at all, but whatever. Obviously not expecting that Link will do anything about it, even if he did see him. So the next day dawns, and Link and Navi are able to get to... Oh, I didn't get it. Whatever. To Castle Town. I'm mostly coming in here just for the... Assuming I can... There we go. I'm coming in here specifically to grab the Scatola, but Link is definitely overwhelmed and speechless, shall we say, at Castle Town itself. Because, hot dang, there is a lot here. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of things. Nice. All right, 71 should be enough for now. And so the next part of our story is really just Link wandering around and seeing all of the stuff, all of the people. So, like, he sees the chicken run past him and the little girl. At some point, Richard, the dog, where's the puppy? There he is. The puppy would probably, not necessarily tackle Link, but certainly would be giving Link a lot of attention. Maybe being a little... I could see Navi being scared of the dog. But Link definitely takes a shine to the puppy. And Link kind of gets over-absorbed in everything that is in Castle Town. So he definitely tries a hand at a carnival game that's being advertised. Ah, dang it. So close. There we go. So taking place in the game, some games he can do. He will try to stop in at the Bombchu Market because he's like fully invested in all of the different things. This one says they're not open for business, but I think it would be kind of like what you see in Majora's Mask, since Link definitely doesn't have any certification working with explosives. Probably say you can't work with these until we know you can safely handle what we function with. We would go into the bazaar and the potion shop, looking around at all of the stuff, getting real interested. And it isn't until probably the late afternoon when he's like, oh, right. We gotta go do a thing. So he runs off on the obvious trek towards Hyrule Castle. I don't think this explanation is necessarily one that needs to happen, because obviously a lot of this is just tutorial information. But we could definitely see the owl like perched on a tree and watching Link and Navi as they approach the castle. So the first thing that they would do is head up to the front gate. And simple question, halt, who goes there? Oh, hello. We're here to see the king. And of course, the explanation of the audience is not granted, which is really frustrating. And so Link is a little frustrated. He pouts as he walks off, kind of moves forward. Looking back, there's gotta be some way. And then Navi points out the vine. So now begins their little sneaky sneak. Would probably climb down the thing, but doesn't matter. And so they start moving, start sneaking. And I'm kind of uncertain as to how far Link should be able to get before he is caught. I actually think it should be probably should be early. Now that I'm saying that. No, here's what would happen. What would happen is that he comes down first, makes noise, the guard sees him, calls out, and then Link is basically just running for his life until he is caught and thrown out. And so he's tossed onto the ground. He's lying on his back when a face looks out over him. And here, Malon and Link are introduced to one another. And so begins their first little hanging out with each other. It is late afternoon, going into the evening, kind of like what the sky looks at right now. And Malon would point out, it's like, you got caught, you got thrown out. I was like, yeah. And well, what were you doing with that? Like, oh, I was trying to see you're trying to see the king? And basically, Malon has to explain what a king actually is. And what the royal family does. How they're very important, taking care of a whole bunch of stuff. They can't just... You can't just go up and knock on their door like you would your next door neighbor. So, they basically spend time hanging out with each other. Eventually... Oh, I should have waited on this. I should have waited on this. So here, this section would come later because over the course of their time together, hanging out, we're going to go back into town because one of the things that happens is that they kind of comment on all of the dogs that run around at night. Malon says it's kind of a normal thing. Most of them are strays. She wishes that they would all get homes. And then Link recognizes Richard. He's like, wait, that dog has a home. Really? Yeah, I was playing with them earlier. And so Link will come up, and Richard obviously already, as we've established, really likes Link. And so Link and Malon together would take Richard home. And so, because of that, Malon recognizes that Link is pretty good with animals. And so that is the impetus behind Malon giving Link her egg for him to use. Link would definitely try this game as soon as he knew that it was a thing. I'm going left. I lost. I could see Malon and Navi having to both stop Link from wasting all of his money. Because I could totally see him doing that. So, after spending time together, and after saving the dog, and basically, his time with Malon encourages Link to give it another try. And this time, he is a lot more stealthy about getting to the castle. So now, you kind of see as he's going through, he's weaving around. We all spend money like, well, oh, that reminds me. I need to see what I can do, how expensive it would be to stay in Seattle for SakuraCon next week. SakuraCon's next week. That's great. Anywho. Now that I have dated myself for the entirety of the internet to enjoy. Now, we're just about to get to sunrise, and so obviously the egg is about to hatch. But I think what I would like to happen is that Link would get this far, he would come up out of the water, and he would hear Talon snoring, and immediately kind of like duck down as a, oh no, where, who saw me, what's going on? And then kind of, you know, peek up, look, and see that Talon is right over there, sleeping. Now, Link and Navi don't know what Talon looks like, but first Navi would say, do you think this is Malon's father? And then they would hear him mumbling in his sleep, our ranch is so fun. Come on, look around. It's like, this must be. Well, I don't know. I don't know if there's going to be a room available. I'm going to find out. Worst case scenario? Literal worst case scenario, I just drive up there every day. I can do that. It's just that I'm not going to have Ollie. He's going to be staying with somebody else. So, and I only knew that I would be able to leave him there today. So, I will find out. It could also just be too expensive for me to stay up there. So, just depends. We'll find out. I will find out later. Anywho, it's as they're sitting here trying to think what to do, because they've tried yelling, they've tried shaking him, and nothing seems to be working. Until finally, kind of as the sun begins to rise, they hear a cracking noise. And the cracking noise is coming, of course, from our egg. Link and Navi kind of huddle around it and watch as it cracks open, the chicken begins to emerge, and the cuckoo, as soon as it crows, Talon is automatically up. And so there's a little bit of a conversation between the two of them. Hello, who might you be? A little bit of an introduction. Are you? Yep, I'm Talon, owner of Lon Lon Ranch. And it's a me, Mario. I just grew out my mustache. And so this is the opportunity for Talon and Link to now get to know each other. He sat down as he was taking care of the milk and fell asleep halfway. And so Link would help Talon put the boxes and things where they need to be. And after he helps, Talon is like, thank you so much. I appreciate everything that you've done. Here, why don't I take that cuckoo off your hands? I'll take it to my ranch and it'll be all good and well taken care of. By the way, what are you doing here anyway? And that's when, oh, right. I left Nalin alone for the last at least 24, if not 48 hours. And so that gives Link finally the opportunity to sneak in, because Talon, in his rush to get out, forgot that Link doesn't have authorization to be back here. Since Link helped with the delivery, this is not something that Link would have needed to do, pushing these blocks to get into the aqueduct. he would probably already be in kind of the delivery area for the milk. So what he has to do, essentially, is sneak into the castle from that location. Probably, if you will, from this door. But regardless of how he gets into the castle, he still very quickly, because of all of the guards and whatnot hanging around, he quickly ends up in the palace courtyard. Now this is where our story is going to take a additional turn. Because while Link is dodging around all of these guards, there is another 10-year-old who is dodging guards as well. So while we see Link going through, we also see Princess Zelda. And in kind of alternating shots, we see Link dodging all of these individuals, and we see Zelda tailing a certain individual. We don't see too many shots, direct shots of the person. We just know that they seem to be wearing black armor, and it's hard to tell exactly what insignias the person is wearing. But it is enough to show that Zelda is very concerned about this individual. Eventually, Zelda's tailing of this man leads to the audience chamber, the throne room. And the doors closed, and Zelda more or less instinctively understands that she can't go any farther, because then it'll be plainly obvious what is going on. I was caught between saying plainly and painfully. So it was plainfully, which is obviously a word. Anywho. And so, eventually, Zelda sneaks out to the courtyard, because there is one spot that you can go to in order to see what is going on inside the throne room. There's probably a door or something like right around here, or something like that. I'm wondering if there should be some kind of confrontation before Zelda goes, before the door to the throne room is closed. Like, perhaps we finally get our first shot of Ganondorf as he kind of turns, and it is obvious that Ganondorf knew that Zelda was following him the entire time. Just kind of a knowing look in his eye as he does so. So now we get to this poignant scene in the courtyard. And what I would want to do with this is expand it beyond just this scene and turn it into much more of a extended bit of a montage. But of course it starts with this conversation. So Link has been dodging guards this whole time and finally ducks down a narrow passage into this area. And he's probably actually hiding under here when he hears sounds above him that don't sound like guards. And so, he hops up and sees a girl about his age. moving forward, he's trying to get an idea of what is going on, and I think... I don't know, do you think Link makes a sound, or if Zelda kind of instinctually senses someone behind him? Because I think it could go either way. I think Link making a noise makes a little bit more sense because of the expression that's on her face is surprised. You know? And there is obviously a sense of panic. Because who are you? How'd you get past the guards? It's oh no, I'm about to be busted. Time to run. Link's about to turn, and she's like, wait, please, wait, is that? And she recognizes Navi as, obviously, a fairy. I like how Navi went back to hide as soon as she said that. These questions get answered, like, in order. Now, she says, would you happen to have the spiritual stone of the forest? Would you have Kokiri's emerald? And Link gets 10. Yes, puppy? Yes? Is that how it is? Yeah, I'm explaining it. Hey, stop it. Link is 10. He's not very good at keeping secrets. And so immediately there's kind of a... How do you know about that? Why would... No! Why would... And kind of a knowing look from Zelda. It's you do have it, don't you? And then Link's just kind of a little sheepish about it. But, you know, there's something in her face, in her eyes, that it's... Yes. Link would probably ask, how do you know about it? And then the description of this dream. And we would, of course, actually see the dream itself. Zelda actually, like, standing there in Hyrule Fields, seeing the darkness and the storms around her, worrying about what is happening, and then suddenly seeing the light shooting out of the forest. With the silhouette of Link in the light. And Link is totally mesmerized by this whole thing. Maybe it's Zelda and her royal garb. Maybe it's just the look in her eyes. Or just the way that she talks. It's just... It's there. And then... This happens as well. And then Link is oh, this is perfect. I was supposed to come and see, well, the royal family. So I think either you or your father. Oh, me. I'm Link. And this is where I would want to expand the story a little bit. because I would want to have Link and Zelda get a bit of a rapport with each other. Like, there's the classic picture of Link and Zelda as children kind of sitting together on a hillside. And it's a great picture, but you don't actually get that in the game. And I kind of want that in the game in some kind of respect, even if it's not actually sitting out on a hillside in Hyrule Field or somewhere. It's the idea that they get to spend time together. And while Link may not spend multiple days here learning about Hyrule Castle and everything, he's still very much here illegally. He's very much trespassing. Zelda's permission or not. They would have some time to sit around and discuss and kind of get to know each other. There's probably at least one point during that little montage where they are almost caught, and that is when Link meets Impa. And it is during these conversations and this playing around and getting to know each other that eventually this is when Zelda has grown to trust him a little more and is willing to tell him this story of the Sacred Realm. And yes, it is a secret to everyone. And I'm pretty good with this story just being played out as is. So good. That is what has been told. So the ancient sages built the Temple of Time to protect the Triforce from evil ones. Oh, that's right. We didn't spend any time in the Temple of Time earlier, did we? I forgot about that. I think it would be important for Link to at least have spent some time at the Temple of Time, even if he doesn't understand what it is or what it's for. Because this explanation of, yes, the Temple of Time is where you get there. That should be like, oh, that place that I was at, that's where it is. Oh, that's really important. So that would happen before, as Link is wandering around Hyrule Castle town the first time. And so this explanation, it's probably something that Link and Zelda are talking about as they are walking. And eventually they come back to here where they are currently at in order for this next part to occur. Because it is very important that Link gets his first glimpse, a full body glimpse, which we have not really gotten yet, of Ganondorf. Those are some epic eyebrows. And then I'm looking at his model again. Like, seriously, those eyebrows are insane. Everything about this part, I think, is really, really good. I do kind of like the idea of both of Link and Zelda peeking through, but they're doing it like kind of what you expect children to be doing. Not just a full look through, but kind of like a peek. That kind of deal. And so, like, one would be coming from this side, one would be coming from the other side, and then when he looks, they both kind of have to... It's like, I think he might have saw us. And Zelda would reassure, we don't have to worry about it. He doesn't know what we're planning. But even though Zelda says that, she doesn't look too good about it. Telling her father. I feel like telling her father should come a little bit further down. Have a good night, Alexandria. Just a little bit. I like the idea of... Why do I keep using that phrase? I think it would be better if Zelda kind of brings up the plan, kind of discusses the situation of what she wants to do before Link brings up the idea of, should we tell somebody about this? About what he's doing? What we're doing? Like, couldn't your father help us? And then, obviously, the king does not believe. I think it should be apparent to both Link and Zelda. Obviously, Zelda can sense Ganondorf's evil intentions, but the idea that Link can also sense that, I think, should be prominent. Even if Link doesn't necessarily recognize him, because we have seen him, well, I mean, that was kind of the idea. We did not fully see him in the dreams, so we don't get that confirmation that Ganondorf was the one in those dreams until we get to the confrontation later on. But the idea of Link looking at Ganondorf and then getting kind of like flashes of his nightmare could be a solid indication still. And then it's at the end there we get like the full fruition of that. I don't think we necessarily need to say the entire... Well, we could say the entire world here, because this is Zelda's emotions really kind of getting away from her. And so... yeah, I feel like all of this runs pretty well. Though I feel like her plea to please help me, let's do this, should be like at the very end. So we already took care of this. I'm worried about him. He has such power. Please help us. Yes, I will, princess. Oh, thank you. Let's do this. We can do this. All we have to do is get to the Triforce before he does. Great idea. We already have the Ocarina of Time. You have a spiritual stone. I cannot leave, so I will protect the Ocarina here. You go get the other two stones, and come back here when you have them, and we will finish and get it. I don't know if Woods... No, I think it works. I think it works that Zelda gives him that. I think that would be important. At least for the initial stuff. So we already have met Impa in the course of our montage. So we're good there. I'm getting money. Thank you, money. Impa would be over by herself like she is right now. And she would probably be whistling Zelda's lullaby already. And Navi would comment on how pretty the song is. Impa would stop and say, yes, I have played this I have played this song for Zelda ever since she was a baby. It is a special song to the royal family. So you're heading out on your adventure, on your quest, are you? Do you believe her? Yes, everything is proceeding as the princess has prophesied. My role in the princess's dream was to teach a melody to the one from the forest. You mean, yes, this ancient melody passed down by the royal family. She would explain that this melody also has powerful connections to the royal family and may prove useful to Link in his journey. Navi would then comment, well, how do we use this song? And then Link would remember that he has Saria's Ocarina. It takes some doing, but something about the song is easy for Link to pick up. Not automatic, but it doesn't take him that much time. And so, Impa takes Link outside. Where Impa directs Link to Death Mountain. It's the home of the Gorons. They hold the spiritual stone of fire. At the foot of Death Mountain, you will find my village, Kakariko. That is where I was born and raised. You should talk to some of the villagers there before you go up the Death Mountain. We already mentioned this part, so this would not be part of it. This would not be part of this discussion, but the princess is waiting for you to return to the castle with the stones. We're counting on you. Be safe. Gasp! Smoke bomb! And that is where we are going to end our little storytelling opportunity, adventure, for now. Because this just seems like the perfect time and spot to do it. And for once, we're ending fairly early-ish. Oh, I'm so bad at that. Everyone, thank you all so much for being here. I appreciate it oh so very much. And thanks for joining me as we discuss. Thanks for contributing. I will be back on Wednesday for our usual Genshin. And then, I've done a lot of talking tonight. I need to rest my voice. So, I will be back on Wednesday for our usual Genshin stream. I will not be here on Thursday as I have work things that I must tend to, but I will be here on Saturdays. We return to Ocarina of Time for our monthly Ocarina of Time randomizer. So, I hope that I will see you sometime during this week or somewhere out there in the multiverse. We will be back with more Ocarina of Time story crafting a week from today. So I hope that I'll see you there, and I would love to hear more of your contributions. I am going to try and post this on my YouTube channel fairly quickly, maybe even tomorrow. So, if you're watching this on YouTube, give it in the comments and let me know what you think about the story that we have told so far and what you think we might be able to use in our story going forward. And we will see you next time.